Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 16 of Fully Rendered. We're nearly at the big
Fuck off,
2-0.
is it episode 16?
It's episode 16, my
Is it
dude.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah,
episode
now.
16.
Mine says 15.
No, that was last week. But yes, welcome, everyone.
Wait, 15 comes before 16?
It does.
Yeah,
it
I
do.
exposed my ass for copy and pasting.
That's what you get. That's what you get. Yes, just
That's
before
what I
we
get.
begin, everyone, just to point out some potential sound issues. So Pulp has some people that are like moving in next door. We've not been able to hear it through the mic, so hopefully that'll be fine. Likewise,
Yeah,
Peachy has...
we have the dog here just in case.
We have the dog, just in case. If you hear noises, we just lift up the dog and the noises will go.
Yeah.
But also, Peachy is having a microphone issue. As you can see him, if you're not an audio listener, he's wielding it in his hands with a sad face. So he's currently using a lavalier mic.
A double lav mic.
A double lav. So
Hello.
he's double
Still
lav.
loud, sorry.
He's got two, so he's going to be doing some ASMR later. Look forward to that on his YouTube channel. And
The ASMR me later is literally me crying in the shower.
just weeping in the fetal position on the floor of the shower. Yeah, I've been there. I know that. I know that feel. Likewise, I have a fan because the UK is currently going through a heat wave. We thought summer was over, and it's come back with a vengeance. So if you do hear any like occasional pops or weird noises, forgive us.
We're
doing
just
the
all
best
kinds
we
of
can.
fucked up today,
Yeah.
clearly.
We're
Dude,
doing the
summer
best
was
we can.
like so mild, and now it's fucking September? What is happening?
This year has flown by. Like it is for me anyway.
know.
It's gone so fast. Like I keep thinking it's still April or March. Like, but yeah, every time I'm like, oh no, it's September. Oh no, then it's gonna be October. Oh, it's Halloween. It's Christmas. Oh, what's going on? But to be fair,
Shut up, dude.
I know,
Like,
right?
I have so much I'm stressed out about.
so stressed. But it has been a good year for games, and that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today, as well
Lots
as
of games.
a few other things. Should we jump into the first topic?
Yes, actually. This
Right.
one is the one with Bunker 15?
Yeah. So
I don't know anything about this, so I would love to hear about this.
it's all about Rotten Tomatoes. So if you're not familiar with Rotten Tomatoes, it is a score aggregate very similar to the likes of Metacritic or OpenCritic for games, but Rotten Tomatoes tends to be for movies. And it has come out that a PR company called Bunker 15 has been paying reviewers to bump up scores and being like, they haven't explicitly said, oh, give it a good score and we'll pay you. But it's kind of been a case of, oh, well, this movie's been getting a lot of shit. So if you were to post a nice review, that would be very pleasant. And one of the examples they gave was the movie with Daisy Ridley in it. I've forgotten the name of it, but you can see it on the screen. Ophelia. That's it.
Ophelia.
Yeah, so that had like a 42% rank on Rotten Tomatoes. And suddenly it jumped up to like 64 or something to that effect, because of these reviews that came through this PR company. And what ended up coming of that is Rotten Tomatoes caught on and was like, oi, behave, kind of thing. And they've kind of stripped a lot of these reviews that are on Rotten Tomatoes. Another thing that Bunker 15 would do is if they found out the review was going to be negative, they'd be like, oh, we'll pay you to post it on like a blog site or something not Rotten Tomatoes. So basically they were quarantining bad reviews and preventing them from affecting the aggregate score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I think this is something we've all, sorry to interrupt that. I think this is something that we've all suspected happens in some way or form, maybe not quite on a broad scale, but it's interesting to have it suddenly brought to light with receipts, as it were. Sorry, you're going to say something, PG.
Right.
Yeah, it was about what you said about, quarantining their reviews. There is a quote. This is on Bounding into Comics. They had a good report and they broke everything down. The critic inquired as to what would happen if he earnestly disliked the film, to which Bunker 15 replied that it was standard practice for super nice reviewers, and there are more critics like this than I expected, to refrain from publishing their negative opinions on the main outlets and instead delegate them to a smaller blog the Rotten Tomato never sees. And I quote, "I think it's a very cool thing to do," the Bunker 15 employee added.
Just, the PR speak. The PR speak is strong. I mean, for me,
I love it though. I love it. It's funny as hell.
the thing with
I
like,
think it's super cool.
with reviews in particular, I believe that if you have had a negative experience, even if you couldn't get through all the movie or all through the game or whatever, if you want to share your opinion, regardless if you are a professional critic or if you're just your layman who plays a lot of video games or watches a lot of movies, I think you should be able to post what you want to say. Having said that, I'm personally not a fan of aggregate sites where it's just this arbitrary number, like, oh, it got a 10 out of 10. It's like, well, what does that mean? You know? And a lot of people use these types of websites where they go, oh, well, Starfield's been getting loads and loads of 10s, and then the people that give it 7s end up getting like abuse and things like that, which we'll go into later with Starfield. And when I get asked, like, what do I think of a game, and some people will go, oh, you know, give it a score out of 10. I'm like, but my 10 out of 10 might not be a 10 out of 10 for you.
Well, yeah, it's like, well, I put it in our Discord about, you know, because we're going to talk about Sea of Stars later, and I say it's the same thing. Like, there's a lot of like 10 out of 10s, and when I was playing, we'll get to that later. But like exactly what you said, like, I don't like I like to look at the negative reviews because there's often a lot of good information there, especially on Steam. There's people who, like, when there's a whole bunch of like positive reviews, I specifically silo the negative so I can take a look and see what exactly is like it. Not everything can be perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that they're necessary.
Absolutely.
Constructive criticism, man.
100%. And
I think those aggregate kind of ideas, like the 5-star or a number review or something, I think they're kind of useful. But if you want a proper review, usually go to a reviewer you've seen before, and you'll watch 2 or 3, and you'll form your own opinion whether you'll like it or not. It's good to know a reviewer's bias.
Yes.
But when you're talking, let's say there's a 5-star rating system.
Yeah.
There's only 2 reviews that matter, right? 5-star and 1-star. And like you said, you go to the 1-star, see what's wrong with it, and then go to the 5-star and see what's right with it. It's just, I think they're helpful because you can go, oh, is this utter shit because it's got, 24% on whatever? Or has this got like a high score? And then you know if it's just a piece of shit or an actual thing.
And to my understanding, what Rotten Tomatoes, sorry to interrupt, but it's an average. Like both of those percentages are averages.
Yes.
So, and I'm a huge fan of horror films in general. I watch a lot of them, and there's a lot of times like I'll just go on Rotten Tomatoes just to take a look, like what's or IMDb, like what's the average? Let's see what people are saying about this. And there's a lot of films that are like maybe I like a lot, and it only has like a 5.8.
Yes.
So, I don't know. It's just about that's where like the number aggregate kind of gets a little bit like dodgy for me because it's like,
I mean, to come back to 2 points that you both made, like personally, when I look at reviews, because that's another thing as well. People expect quite broadly different things when it comes to reviews. Some people think that all reviews must be unbiased, and it's like, no, you're literally asking for an opinion. You can't have an unbiased opinion. Like, it doesn't work like that. Yes, you can have your your digital foundries and things like that where they go more into the technical things, but then that would be one data point that you would go to. Like when I go and look at what people think about a game, I'll go to people that I know have very similar tastes than me, and I'll also go to the digital foundries to find out what the technical side of it is like and things like that. And then I will also likewise look at the negative reviews to ascertain why it's negative for them. Is it because of technical difficulties? Is it because they just hate the brand and they're going to, review bomb it and things like that? So it is definitely good to have a broad range of sources when it comes to getting the information that you want when you look at reviews. But also with regards to like the average score, is often 2 scores. You've got your professional critics that get the score, and then there's the audience score, I believe it's called on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's sometimes a disconnect there as well. So you go to these aggregate sites and they're like, oh yeah, critics have reviewed this as a 92.
All the time you'll see people. You see people comment on like how, the fucking critics, they hate this film, but look at the audience score. And it's like, because also like film critics, like I took some like some film courses in college, and like when it comes to like they look at films critically though sometimes. Like I mean, it's in the word.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
100%.
They're looking at it in a different viewpoint. Like yeah, you know, obviously we're gonna you watch a movie and it's like, you know, I'm using the horror. I'll use the horror example again because you know it's some critics aren't gonna like how like, you know, mindless the violence can be and how over the top it can be. But I'm going in like I want to see some cool kills. I want to see some cool deaths.
It's like if you went to Rotten Tomatoes to look up, I don't know, Transformers 4. Critics are going to say this is a pile of shit. Don't even bother. But you're not going to a Transformers movie for peak cinema, are you?
Yeah.
So
You're not looking for something thought provoking in Transformers.
yeah, it's like Brian said. It's a data point. I think there's nothing wrong with them, but people who take that as everything, and then people are like, "You gave this a 7?" Like, well, they didn't like it, mate.
That's why, you know, I really like how Steam has it set up where it's like you have not recommended because I want to see why some people wouldn't recommend it and vice versa. And when it comes, because like I do like to take certain games I will wait for reviews. Some games I just don't give a shit. I'm just gonna go in on my own because I'm just that stoked for it. Same with films, but I need to. What I like is that you have one or the other, so I could see like what exactly are you telling me that why you wouldn't recommend it? Because sometimes it could be a technical issue, you know, and you see that a lot where some people will, like, you know, for example, we talked about last week with Starfield, where there's if you don't have an SSD, I wouldn't recommend getting it on PC.
Yeah,
because the game's going to run like crap. And so people who don't have SSDs in their computers are going to need to see stuff like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and then people who've got high-end fucking beasts don't give a shit about that because they're going to
exactly. So it all feeds. It's all they're both very incredibly important. So I like that better than having these arbitrary numbers tossed around because I've seen people say like they don't like something, they'll still give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. And that's another thing as well. Like these arbitrary numbers, they mean different things to different people. You will often see games where it's a good game. It's not a masterpiece, but it's a good game. So it gets 7s, it gets 8s, and then particularly amongst the console war peasants, as I like to refer them as, because they're fucking idiots. But like they'll be like, oh, it only got a 7. That's a shit game. And it's like,
I only played 9.
It's a 7. It's literally above halfway. Like, what are you talking about?
Like, I remember years ago, this was years ago on my Instagram, and I mentioned like I had said some like throwaway comment about Final Fantasy 15. And I liked the game. I had fun playing it. But it's not a good game, and I worded it like that, like just like, you know, just the way, like, you know, the story set up, like there's a lot of flaws with the game, but I enjoyed it. And my God, it's like you know, I might as well shit in their cereal.
Yeah, some people will get very, very aggressive when you give
and
even a remotely or critical.
I would probably
opinion.
give that game like a 6 or a 7 at most. That's being generous, but like probably like a 6 or 7. And
the problem for me is like those games get 10s, right?
Or that's not saying the game's not fun. It's just not a great game.
There's games that get like 10, 9.5. Like a game has to be fucking perfect. That game's got to suck my foot to get a 10, right? That needs to be something special, and games get it all the time. So it's all relative. But having a lot of people throw in, you can tell if you're going to get ripped off or if it's real, right? Yeah. There is still value in an aggregate site, I think, but
this is definitely going to come up later when we talk about Sea of Stars, because I have an opinion about it.
That's fair. But yeah, it's definitely, if you do go to these aggregate sites, do look at the audience scores as well. Like as we alluded to earlier, there is often a disconnect. Super Mario was one of such an example where critics were like, it's a bit, you know, bit much to be about video games. It's like, it's Super Mario, you tool. And then the audience score was like, we fucking love this. It's about a video game, and it's really faithful to it. And Chris Pratt was okay, and Jack Black was dope, and, you know, things like that. But critics were like, oh, it's not cinema. I'm going to go hug Martin Scorsese or something like that. Well, it's just like get over it.
It's like go look at the, like, you know, Oscar bait films. It's like the amount of times when you watch those award seasons, and it's like I haven't heard of half of these.
Yeah.
And they're winning all these, like, the surplus of awards, and we're talking specifically movies, obviously. And it's like because it's all critic bait.
Yeah,
it's 100%. Or Oscar bait. And then you have films like you know, you have legitimately good game or Jesus, I'm all over the place. Good films. Like Super Mario was great.
It was.
But it's
Genuinely
not
was.
critic bait. It's not
It's
Oscar
not.
bait. It's not going to win any Oscars.
It definitely won't,
It's not
unfortunately.
lost in translation. It's Super fucking Mario.
I know.
Yeah,
We know
yeah.
exactly what we're getting.
You get what you wanted, and it's a good time. But yeah, to circle back to Bunker 15, then I think the moral of this story is Rotten Tomatoes, Metacritic, OpenCritic, things like that. They've become so depended on by both consumers that it's also impacted and become dependent on for studios, that PR companies are willing to throw some cash under the table. So be careful of the scores that you see. This isn't probably, I would imagine it's
All
not
those reviewers
widespread.
need to be kicked off the fucking site because they've lost all integrity.
My understanding
agree.
is that a lot of them did get banned. Rotten Tomatoes noticed the manipulation and removed the suspicious reviews, sending a strong warning to the reviewers involved. And I believe the warning was literally like, if we catch you doing this shit again, you are banned for life, kind of thing.
On a different note, what the hell is that screenshot of Daisy Ridley? That wig is awful.
I have no idea. I didn't even know this film existed. I thought she was only in Star Wars and never done any other shows, so I wasn't even aware.
I've never heard of it, but I keep like glancing over
gosh,
and I see the wig. It's a wig. It's a bad.
But nothing wrong with wigs, bro.
There's nothing. I wear wigs.
As long as it
sometimes.
doesn't look like a wig.
It looks like a wig. It's a very wiggy wig.
No, the one with the hair here, all curled back and put up, that looks great.
I'm just talking the top one.
Which
I think it's okay.
I think I'm looking at a different website too.
What I'm seeing, and I'm seeing it zoomed out, is a very wiggy wig.
It's a very
It's a wiggy wig.
It's a wiggy wig.
But yeah, so...
It's also very distracting when you can't see their ears ever. And then you really know it's a wig.
And then you find out they don't have ears, and you're like, oh my god. Happens all the time. But yes,
it's true.
Just to tie the topic then, I don't think it's something that's very widespread. Bunker 15, they tend to be, from what I understand, a smaller PR company, probably just trying to push the envelope a bit.
This is the first I'm hearing about it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's something we all suspected would happen. And I mean, to be fair, I remember watching a video by Asmongold, and he made a very salient point where he was talking about access journalism, where reviewers get early copies. They sometimes get, hardware, like free PlayStations. They are sometimes treated like influencers, because effectively they are when it comes to marketing. So that, of course, can also have impacts on, hashtag ad and what their review could be. So it's something to always be mindful of. You should always use multiple data points, multiple people that you want to get opinions from. I mean, I can recommend a couple now: Jake Baldino, Alanah Pierce, Skillup or Shillup as he often goes by nowadays, Digital Foundry if you want to see something more technical, things like that. And then, of course, like Pulp was saying, look at the Steam reviews if they've got review options in whatever platform you're using. Likewise for Epic and whatnot. I think... Do Epic do like written reviews on their launcher?
I'm not sure. I know Xbox Game Pass does it because I go on there sometimes. Because I usually... Yeah, but I usually check Steam. Like, if I'm playing something on Game Pass, if it's available on Steam, I'll go there and take a look. Because that's more of a primary hub for a lot of people.
Right, 100%. So the next topic is strikes or the potential for them. So as many of you know,
I saw this coming.
The SAG-AFTRA is currently doing like strikes in movies.
It's Zac Efron, then I'm like, what?
No.
It's Zac Efron.
He just strolls on screen topless and he's like, "Hi guys," and then leaves, and that's it. That's the show. But so they're currently doing strikes for voice actors in movies, I believe, and just general things like that. But they have just unanimously put to vote and won the vote to have games involved. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that's definitely going to happen. They're going to put it to their members, and then the members have to vote. And then once they voted, potentially it could be that a load of voice actors will be going on strike.
I believe it. I mean, they bleed through. Like the line is so blurred between voice actors in films and the video games, because it's especially with all the mocap.
Yes, definitely.
The UK video game voiceover industry there's a stranglehold by large companies, and even their union, and VAs get shit on a lot, and that's why you see a lot of not strictly voice actors in a lot of games and stuff. Like it's the meme that a Twitch streamer will have voice actor in their bio, right? Because they don't know what money is for like career VAs.
Yeah.
And they flood, and then the unions get pressured by the big companies, and then nothing happens. And I hope, because video game voice acting is not very good for the voice actors. Also, I've heard, I have no insight in that whatsoever.
I don't either, but I've heard that, and I think like,
I was being sarcastic. I do.
Rude.
But it is possible that they'll just go, "Oh, better not." That is possible, but this might be the push to go, "Oh yeah, okay, no, everyone's unhappy. We should do this."
Yeah,
I think ever since like the whole Bayonetta shit, like this was kind of like leading.
That was so weird because that is so against the
shit.
grain of every voice actor I've ever met.
No,
Yeah.
I know that. I feel like after that whole story with Bayonetta came out, like it's been kind of like moving towards this direction. So it kind of shined a light on.
I think
but she was talking absolute mad shit.
Yeah,
She was.
yeah,
I'm not
yeah.
saying that.
Which is really bad because VAs get it pretty rough.
They
Pretty
do,
rough.
and that's why I brought that up, because a lot of VAs spoke out about that.
Yeah, I think the main push is coming from obviously the writers' strikes and things like that, and then obviously SAG-AFTRA got involved.
SAG-AFTRA.
And then SAG-AFTRA got involved, and
sure.
then, I mean, with regards to like outside of the states, I don't believe you have to be a US national to be in SAG-AFTRA.
I
not
have no
100%
I don't
on
know.
I know a few people who are part of it though.
Yeah, so like I suspect they will probably go ahead with it because at the end of the day, as you've alluded to already, it's a very like pretty much anything to do with like the creative side of gaming is just really poorly paid. Like be it voice acting, be it the coding, be it the writing, things like that, especially in comparison to adjacent industries. I said before, like if you're a developer in finance, you get like 3 times better pay than like your average developer, for example, things like that. So I kind of want it to go ahead because as an empathic human being, I want it to go ahead because I want people to have better livelihoods, get better pay. A lot of the things that they mentioned were to do with AI concerns and protections, and so they don't just be like, oh, we've recorded your voice enough so you can piss off and now we'll just auto-generate it through AI and things like that. And of course, the better pay. But as a consumer, I can also appreciate people are going to be like, oh no, but our games kind of thing, especially when we've had such a huge flood of really, really good voice acted games lately, like Baldur's Gate being an example.
I'm in support of that. I'm in support of voice actors joining SAG, like for sure.
Yeah, 100%. So hopefully good things
and
come
Zac
of it.
Efron.
And Zac Efron. If it does go ahead, hopefully some big things will come about. Maybe.
Hashtag Zac Efron.
There's
Hashtag
a lot
Zac
of like
Efron.
there's a big need of reform for like when it comes to just the treatment of voice actors and like how the business is handled behind it.
Yeah, 100%. The industry in general, working in general, capitalism,
no, the industry
turn
in
it all
general
upside
is
down.
just fucking the whole industry, but specifically because we're talking about voice actors, like they need to be they need to be better compensated, better taken care of. And
maybe if publishers just tone down their profits a bit.
I'm sorry.
Maybe if publishers tone down their profits a bit.
Thing is,
that could fix literally everything. If we just set fire, maybe eat all publishers.
in a lot of cases, it's not even that they need to like lower the profits. They just need to stop paying the directors, or not the directors, rather the chairmen, the C-suite folk, like plus hundreds of millions of dollars. Like Bobby Kotick, he got like 154 million, I think, last year. The guy from EA, I think he's in the 200 million like mark. And then,
must be nice.
Meanwhile, voice actors, developers are like getting a few thousand kind of thing, a couple of like tens of thousands, stuff like that. So if they just realign the balance of
games
power,
wouldn't exist like without all these people involved.
100%. So hopefully for me, if it does go ahead, that it will be a big push in the industry as a whole, not just the voice acting side of things. That would be nice. Would you ever consider doing voice acting, Paul?
Yeah. I just have a terrible voice.
You don't have a terrible voice, and that could be a thing. If you did have a terrible voice, you'd be like, "Hello," like this. This is me doing an impression of a terrible voice that you don't have. But I could be like, "Oh, hello, this is my voice acting voice."
Yeah,
kind of thing.
I
Who
wouldn't
knows?
be opposed to it. Just the offer has never come to my hasn't approached. I've never been approached with the offer.
That's fair. That's fair. I've done a couple of things. It's something I would like to do a lot more of. On my bucket list
You
to
have
be
like
in a game.
really easy to listen to voice. Mine's not soothing whatsoever, and I have very little range.
I mean, sometimes it's not even about like.
Sometimes you need like some Cali girl selling you a latte in a
it's
game.
True. You
That's all. That's
You got the voice that could sell me a latte, dude. Come on.
The only role I am cast.
We're gonna write your resume for you and spam it on voice
Yeah,
acting boards
appreciate it.
of like best
Please
Cali
do.
girl voice ever, and we'll see what happens. But yeah, on my bucket list,
God.
I would like to be in a game. I've been in a trailer, was nearly in 2. What have you done, Peachy? You mentioned that you've done it before.
Voice acting? None. I can't act.
Oh, you've not done it. Oh, sorry. I thought earlier you were saying that you had done some voice acting. Apologies.
I was a stand-in for like a it was what was it? It was like this sci-fi show that they were going to pitch. So I was like a stand-in for the pitch trailer.
That's cool.
I saw it. It was very odd to see myself in it.
Like, look,
And
Mom, I'm on
I've been
TV.
and I've also just been in like friends videos.
That's fair. That's fair. Well, hopefully some good things will come about. So I mentioned before the podcast there were the filler topics. Are there any particular that stood out to you that you want to jump into?
Let's talk about Bloodlines.
Bloodlines. Okay.
Oh
Go ahead.
yeah. I need to pull up that.
Go
So
ahead.
there was a new gameplay trailer.
Oh wait, there is.
And yeah, it's all combat. Okay, so a friend of mine was talking about this and going, "Oh, I'm really worried about the game now." Because the original one was very story driven, and we did see some gameplay later, but it was all about the story, and it was like a Netflix show or something. And I watched it and went, "Oh, that'd probably be cool." And then I saw the gameplay combat trailer that was recently released. I'm like, "Fuck me, we got a game, boys!" Because it looks sick. Although, if you watch the trailer, there is some mental editing going on, which could be a bad thing, right? Because they've stitched all this together so you don't notice what's going on. But also it's a good thing because like some of the shit they were doing isn't canned animations. It's just happening there and they're in a different location and boom, in the same thing. Like it looked cool. I'm like, okay, I want to play it now. Like I wanted to play it before. It's Bloodlines. I love
I actually
BGM. It's
do have
great.
a question about Bloodlines because I was talking about with just on Discord with a few friends last week, and I actually don't know who the Chinese room is. I am not aware of like who they are, like the developer. So I was actually going to ask you two if
Aren't they doing the Silent Hill?
No. That's,
no. That's Bloober.
Yeah, that's Bloober team.
All right.
That's Bloober.
Did they do Descent?
They've done. I don't know.
I have no.
I don't think they've done any horror
Amnesia
games.
too?
I don't know. That's someone else.
Oh,
as well.
and wait, that's what it was. Amnesia. Machine for Pigs. I think?
Machine for Pigs, which wasn't very good.
Right. So that's where all the moans and groans were about, was because of that. Because like someone brought it up to me, like, "Oh yeah, I'm so sad," but I'm like, I'm not. Am I supposed to know who that is?
It wasn't that great, but
It wasn't that great.
it wasn't.
Okay.
It wasn't terrible.
They also did Dear Esther and Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, which I believe the latter was pretty well received.
It was a bit of a darling received, though.
Fair.
I don't know. The combat looked really cool. It did look really cool.
I do think it looks better.
It looks neat.
Like
But they sacked everyone who was involved with writing the story in the first one, so this might be pretty light, which would suck for an RPG.
The trailer looks neat. I really like the original. I still have it installed on my computer because getting it to work and putting all the mods on was a big pain in the ass. So I'm never. It's one of those games I'm never uninstalling because it's not that big anymore.
It is a fantastic game.
It's such a good game.
But it did have some development issues, like this one.
Yeah. It's funny. I was sharing this little story with a friend of mine when we were talking about this, and I thought I'd tell you guys. So I have a very fond memory of Bloodlines Masquerade. So when my brother worked at a GameStop when that game first came out, so I was really young. My mom used to wear a T-shirt of Vampire Masquerade Bloodlines. God damn, I can never say the whole name.
It is a
sleep
long
every
name.
night. Yeah, I always get all tongue tied. So I have this very fond memory that my mother used to wear an oversized Vampires the Masquerade T-shirt to bed. And me wondering, not knowing anything about the game because I didn't play it until I was a lot older,
Right.
asking her why there was a vampire hooker on her shirt.
Oh,
So,
bless her. Yeah, when
my
I
mother-
saw
things
the
like that.
first trailer with the previous studio, I was like, there was loads of excitement for it. Personally, I was like, this looks a bit jank. To be honest, I wasn't impressed. I wasn't taken by it. Then, of course, there was the issues with regards to I can't remember. Was it two of the original writers of the first game that were
The
involved?
original writer, yeah.
Yeah,
and
it was something like that. It's a whole bunch of the original development team was sacked.
yeah, so there was like a bad breakup kind of thing from what we understood, and then of course they've gone to this new team, this new studio, the Chinese Room, and I've got to say that trailer that we just watched, I preferred the look of that trailer. To be honest, I do think that
It was dumb though. It was very fucking dumb. VTM has got some really cool RPG elements. The original Bloodlines,
right.
It's an RPG,
Yeah.
right? With janky at best combat, and this one looks like it's got good combat. Is it gonna be shit because they sacked everyone who knows how to write VTM?
Well,
Maybe.
I mean, I would say the Chinese Room probably has some, good writers if their previous games have been, or at least there are games that have been previously
indie
well received.
darlings, you would expect some writing prowess happening there.
Yeah, and it
Well,
could
with
be
the game,
that. Sorry, go on.
with this kind of franchise. Oh no, actually, you finish your thought, and I'll go. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say it's not uncommon for a studio that didn't create the original IP to take over, but they have fans of the IP in the studio, and then they end up, making
really?
a really good successor to it, kind of thing. I don't know if there are. I imagine there would be, because that's
Probably.
usually how that sort of
So.
thing happens. Like, oh hey, we heard you're looking for a studio to take on VMP. We love that game. Let us do it. From my understanding, that's often how that occurs. So I would expect
It
that
would behoove them to not include a good writer though on this for this kind of game because this is the original game was primarily all about the writing.
Yeah.
You don't go. I don't know anybody
The gameplay was
the
jank.
original
It was.
who talks about the original game and goes like, "Man, that combat though."
Oh, that combat though.
Oh!
They do, but they mean a different thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's always very painful to go back to. It's like, man, I forgot how great this voice act is. Oh God, this combat though.
It's like that with a lot of games, though, isn't it? Especially when we go back to like
Oh God, like the
90s or
KOTOR
early
games.
noughties.
The KOTOR games. I loved them so much when I was younger, and I played them again not a few years ago. Like, whew.
It's like the Lion King, Disney's The Lion King, where you're like, oh, I remember playing this game. Yeah, it was sick. I had a great time. And then
It
you
was
play it
hard.
now, and now you're like, Jesus fucking Christ! How did I complete the first level? What's going on? I've just been
I
murdered
could
by a
never beat
giraffe.
that game. I could never beat that game. Fucking Scar just evaded me the whole time.
I
Developed a lot of rage issues.
I couldn't get through the lava stage, which I think is
The
the
lava
last
stage was rough.
one.
That was a rough one.
I don't even remember how far I got in it. It was that long ago since I played it. I remember
got
playing Cool Spot. That was a thing.
Vampire the Masquerade.
Yeah.
The trailer looked dumb. The writing we got was well voice acted, but it was like, in a world, it was stupid. But
Yeah.
that might just be they were just editing it to look cool because the combat was
Yeah.
just so impactful. So maybe the writing would be good. It would be a shame if ETM loses the breadth of story that it has.
I feel like the original game also knew it was kind of goofy. Like the concept was goofy. So it's
Some tongue in cheek there for sure. But no, it wasn't dumb. It wasn't just
not dumb.
Here is a COD single player campaign dumb,
Yeah.
which has a place in video games. I kind of enjoy that, but it would be sad if this is dumb. But the combat looked good, and as long as they sell it at the correct price for a AAA game, that's £50. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Fuck off. £50. Then I'll pick it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'll keep an eye on it and see how it goes. Any other?
$60 for a game. Come on, go fuck yourself. Sorry.
No,
What were you
it's
saying,
fine.
Brian?
I was going to say, is there any other topics that you want to dive into in particular?
You pick one. Pick into the hat. The hat of topics.
The hat of topics.
Dive in. Pull something out, Pulp. Just pull it out.
Yeah, Bob, you pick the next one.
All right, let's go with. We'll go down the list. Red Dead Redemption 3's in the works, apparently.
Yeah, so there is a leaker who has leaked things in the past and has been correct when he has leaked it in the past. I believe he is My Time to Shine Hello, or at My Time to Shine H.
That's his
on
name.
Twitter. Yes, and
Excellent.
he's basically posted like leaks in the past, and they have come to fruition. Some of them have been misses, but I think most of them have been hits. And he has recently come out saying Red Dead Redemption 3 is officially in the works. No further information. So, I mean, looking at them, the developer of the studio, from a business perspective, they've already basically alluded to GTA 6 coming out next year. So a lot of the core development, I imagine, is probably finished, and they're working on like polishing. So it would make sense if they've like stripped a couple of the dev team away from GTA 6 and have got them to start on like pre-production. Like, in the works can mean anything. It doesn't mean it's going to come out for fucking ages. It could be years yet, 2028 or something to that effect. But yeah, so as someone who has not played the Red Dead Redemption games, and I believe
I have both of them, but I will.
There are 3.
Yes, there was the other one as well. But let's say the mainline games. As someone who hasn't played the mainline games, have you played them, Paul?
I played a very little of them. The first one I couldn't get past like it was a tutorial level.
Right.
Follow this bitch on a fucking horse, and I could not. I always screwed it up, and I've never played more than that, and I always heard it was so great. And then I remember like when Red Dead 2 came out, someone like anonymously sent it to me. Right. I got the deluxe edition just in my email saying that they wanted to see me play it, and I don't know who it was, and I did not get very far.
Didn't get very far. Punched a horse, had fun. Bye. That's fair.
Yeah.
Peachy, have you played the games?
I have played. No. So I played the first game in the Red Dead series, which is Red Dead Revolver, which is a completely different game. I played the first Redemption and the spin-off zombie thing, and they were cool. And I got gifted the second one, and then Rockstar did some nonsense with their fucking stupid DRM nonsense because they don't know how to do DRM. I wonder if that'll come up again in this podcast.
It certainly will.
And I couldn't play the game, so I just refunded it to the person who gifted it to me and said, "I'm sorry, Rockstar, I can fuck off." But everyone loved it. How much was it? Was it 60 quid? Fuck it, it's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I mean, they were both very, very well received. My question to you both was going to be, do you think there needs to be a third, or where would you like the third to
It
go?
doesn't need to be, but of course they're making a third.
By the way, Peachy, my chat just reminded me why I stopped playing Red Dead Redemption 2. I crashed my horse into a civilian NPC, failed the quest, and then just stopped.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
That's fair.
I have heard the horses have been an issue.
Do you crash a horse?
I feel like you can, yes.
You crashed a horse?
I really ran into somebody.
Yeah, I think it classes as a crash. It doesn't have to be mechanical, because you are essentially driving the horse into a direction.
You're riding a horse. You're not driving a horse.
I mean,
Fuck that horse.
If you took the definition of driving, it is technically.
What the fuck game were you playing, bro?
I didn't play it, so I don't know.
I didn't fuck any horses, so I have no idea.
My question was going to essentially be like, okay,
not done that.
What direction would you like it to go in, since the second game was technically a prequel?
Do you think that's going to be a feature in Red Dead 3?
Not being able to crash.
No, I don't think so. I don't think that's going to be a feature in Red Dead Redemption 3. I think we can all agree here that guaranteed Red Dead Redemption 3 will not have bestiality in it. We can confirm that.
I mean, Baldur's Gate 3 is setting the new standard.
Oh, I hope it's setting the standard. Because do you know how much that game cost, Brian?
Standards have been set. Bestiality is in.
Of course they're working on the third one. Of course they are. Why would they say, "Oh, do you want money?" No, thank you. I don't want any money.
Well, since none of us have properly played the series, let's go to the subject that's adjacent to it then, which again was alluded to a moment ago. Rockstar sold pirated copies of their own games on Steam, triggering anti-piracy measures. So for those unfamiliar with the story, basically, Rockstar would introduce like two different types of DRM onto their games. There was the Sony DRM, which would prevent you from making copies of their discs. And then there was Rockstar's DRM, which would basically say, "Oi, behave, get out of our game, stop looking at our files," blah, 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 and it would happy slap you.
Social Club, is that what their DRM's called?
Something silly, yeah, it had a daft name. And then what would happen is the games would get cracked anyway, and then, would be uploaded to pirated websites and stuff like that. And what Rockstar had done with some of their previous games, Manhunt being one of them, I think Max Payne was another, and then there was a third game, they've like re-released them on Steam, but because the DRM in the original versions, it didn't work, so they just got the pirated versions and uploaded those instead, because it's like, oh well, some random bloke in his basement has worked out how to do it, so we may as well just save ourselves the time. But because of that, anti-piracy measures have kicked in on Steam, and it's like fucking with people's games and stuff like that. So my question to you both is, do you think they were playing it smart and being like, oh, let's save ourselves some money and just, use the work of a random pirate kind of thing? Not me, just to be clear. Or do you think they were very, very stupid for not putting in the work, or even more stupid for DRM in the first place?
They were lazy for not doing it themselves, but they have done a good thing. They've proved that the only people who care about video games are the people who are pirating the games and keeping them going. There's so many old games that you can't buy anymore, but you can play them because they've been hacked. They're actually, pirating has actually helped the game industry or consumers play games that they wouldn't normally be able to play, because not even Rockstar, the people who made the game, probably because they sacked everyone after they finished making the game, couldn't even do it. DRM is, I get it. Yeah. I get it. I understand why it's there, but it is invasive and intrusive. And I don't think piracy is that big of a problem unless you are making it easier. If you're a publisher that's making it easier for you to play the game that is pirated than the official game, I mean, that's when piracy isn't. For most people, piracy isn't a problem because people want the games. It's easier to go on Steam and go, boom, there we go. There's fucking 10 quid. Boom, got a game. Awesome. I can just look. It's there. I got it all. It's got cloud saves. Wow. Awesome. Brilliant.
100%.
That's fine. People aren't pirating those. It's like when Netflix first came out. It's like, you know what? I don't need to pirate movies anymore. It's all there.
Yeah.
100%.
And now they've made it more difficult with more streaming services, and it's like, oh, I'm going to pirate again because it's easier. People will pay for convenience. They will.
100%.
Because we're all inherently lazy, right? If it's there, click of a button, that's easier than just trying to hack the game myself. But if your DRM is so shit that I need to get a cracked version anyway, even Rockstar admitted the DRM is so shit that they need a pirated copy. Yeah. That's the problem. The piracy isn't actually the problem, is it?
No, it's really not. You're right. Actually, you pretty much hit the nail on the head when you mentioned Netflix.
I'm very intelligent.
No, but no, you hit the nail on the head with how I felt about with pirating and Netflix. Like for a while before all these streaming services was like, before it was easier to just torrent everything. Just go on Pirate Bay and torrent everything or whatever.
Can't even watch on one account now with Netflix. It's got to be in the house. Like
exactly. I was actually paying for. But anyway, as soon as they started like taking things off of like Netflix or Hulu, or like I think some just moved over to Hulu, but there was a few shows like that I was watching on Netflix and now it's gone. It's like, oh, you got to go to Peacock or whatever. It's like, no. I don't really want to. I don't really want to pay for another service. As it is, like for a while, I didn't have Game Pass for a bit because none of the games I wanted to play was on there, and it's because I forgot I had it. And it's just so much easier to keep everything in one place.
Right.
It is easier to keep.
So
that's why Epic Game Store was one of the reasons why Epic Game Store is having a hard time breaking in, because all my games are on Steam. Also, I do trust Steam.
Yeah. No, I legitimately forget that I have the Epic Game Store like on my
Do you ever
on my
like
computer.
update it because
Same
you
with,
want to check it out and go, oh shit, I own that game?
You get
Yeah,
some
I
pretty
have
decent
to-
free games from the Epic Games Store. It is worth
Yeah,
logging in.
I
And
forget
even
to
with that,
open
there's
it though.
still-
That's the thing. Is like I completely like my memory just wipes it constantly. And I think that there's also Ubisoft too. It's like all these different like services, and it's like, dude, come.
Yeah.
If there was like if there was if they were you had access cross platform in that aspect where like I know with Steam, even though it's fucking annoying, but some games are available on Steam, and then you have to use the
The
Ubisoft
original
launcher.
yeah.
Yeah, but at least it's all still there.
It's all
on, like,
aggregated in one place.
so I could see it. It's just a labyrinth to even get to playing it.
You
But
should try
understand.
GOG Galaxy. It will bring everything from every storefront you've got into
I always
one
forget about
handy little
GOG.
launcher.
Yeah, all hail
I should
GOG.
use GOG more often.
Yeah, 100%.
GOG is great.
Speaking of Steam,
I think I have GOG and I forget.
yes.
Or I use GOG.
Speaking of Steam, obviously, there's the quote. I don't remember it exactly, but to paraphrase Gabe Newell, he said before, he's like, piracy isn't the problem. Like, if you provide a product or a service where people feel compelled to pirate it to begin with, that means the product or service you're providing wasn't good enough. If you provide them with a good service or a good product, people will lay down the money.
Yeah.
If people can't like afford to play your game and pirate it, they can't afford to buy your game anyway.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
not gonna buy your game.
Yeah. You're not really losing out on money. And like you were saying earlier, I think piracy as a whole in our
Modern era.
in our current era is definitely not as big or as widespread as a problem as it once was when we were kids. Us millennials over here, like when we were
Napster.
lime wiring the shit out of stuff. Napster, the age of Napster, things like that, where we were literally like, let's get everything
The
for
amount of
free, and we didn't know the
accidental porn you
consequences.
Let me destroy the family computer with this copy of Korn's seminal album, Life is Peachy.
.exe. Like, this is a weird file format.
Shout out to my parents for sacrificing the family computer so I could learn how they work. Appreciate you guys.
Bless.
RIP all the viruses and man, it's a lot of accidental porn as well.
All the accidental
Both
porn.
at the same time.
Yeah,
That's
so-
how you got caught downloading things.
So yeah, don't trust
this?
Rockstar with
No.
selling you authentic games anymore, because apparently they don't do that. So, but
Like, how much does it cost to
Brian
remove
the pirate
that?
is telling us that
that
piracy
Greek?
isn't the real problem. Is kind of sad. Oh, well done on that one. That was not me. I did not take credit for that.
they've caught on to my plan. I must go. But yeah, so
Blood Diamond seller says blood diamonds aren't that bad.
fine. I just bought a new house. What are you talking about? Right.
Oh God, he wants
Peachy?
the One Piece for himself.
I do.
Yes, Brian.
So
Yes,
do you
Brian,
want to
keep going. I'm sorry.
pick the next subject for the next 10 minutes?
Oh, okay. Gonna go into the hats. Okay, which shits on developers? Let's talk about the Switch 2. Let's talk about the Switch 2.
Yeah, let's do that.
We got Switches.
Yeah, so the Switch 2.
We have switches in this house.
You've got many Switches. You could build a
I have a
house with
family
your
of
Switches.
I have a family of switches.
But yeah, so it's something we've spoke about on the podcast before. The rumors that there was going to be a Switch 2 or there is a Switch 2 in the works. We already know that it's pretty much certain that it's coming out next year. However, from Gamescom, we found out that behind closed doors, developers have had their hands on it, and they've played some games. One of the games that was mentioned was actually Breath of the Wild, but it was in 1080p and at like 60 frames per second and things like that. They did the Unreal Engine 5 Matrix demo that we had a couple of years ago. Not even that, probably just a year ago, where they were like, oh, here's the city of New York or whatever, and look how shiny it is. Apparently that runs on the Switch. So that's kind of exciting news, considering how wanked
It's a very
the
old system
hardware-
now.
Yeah, and even then, when it came out, it was a wee bit behind, wasn't it? You didn't really play
Yeah,
games.
I mean,
It
you're not
was,
expecting that
but-
from a handheld, are you?
Yeah,
Yes and
I
no. I would
feel like
argue.
with Nintendo. They
So,
just haven't really focused on graphical power at all for a while
yeah,
now.
it's not
They're
really
more
in their
about innovation.
wheelhouse. Yes, 100%.
Yeah, they just focus on innovation, and it is innovative. Like I love being able to pick up my system and bring it with me. Sometimes it's great.
Yeah, it is
Yeah,
very, very
even
convenient.
I prefer gaming at a seat and a desk, but even I use this handheld.
Yeah,
What?
it's great
So,
for traveling.
we don't know much about it. We know they're using NVIDIA hardware because DLSS 3
Yes.
is involved, which
Yeah.
is probably how they're running games at 1080p
Mm-hmm.
at 60. What do you want from a new Switch, Brian? If you were like, you know what? If it has this, I'll pick one up.
For me, it was the hardware.
Mm.
I think,
Okay.
especially now that the Steam Deck exists and the ROG Ally, where people have gone, oh yeah, I have a Switch,
Yeah,
looks over to the shelf and it's collecting dust. I haven't played my Switch for nearly a year now.
that's easily the problem with the Switch. Is like I like it that when it comes to Switch, there's a lot of like exclusive games specifically for it because it's Nintendo.
Mhm.
But when I'm not in the mood to play those Nintendo games, it's like mine's collecting dust too.
Well, for me,
It's great for traveling, of course. Like I said.
For me, it's been a case of there are games that I wanted to play, and I was like, "This looks sick," or like the concept of the action in the game looks sick, but then it's been dialed back graphically because it has to deal with the Switch. As Xenoblade Chronicles
Yeah.
3, Bayonetta 3 was like
Bayonetta.
Sorry, was
I like
slammed
Bayonetta.
for having just wank textures in the backgrounds and very little
Yeah.
like actual.
I think
substance
part
to
of
the
that
game
too
outside of the
is because
mechanics.
the screen's so small that they think that they're not counting on people putting it on the bigger screen. And that's when you can see all of those graphical flaws more. Because like when you zoom out, it doesn't look as bad, even though yes, it does look bad. But I think they don't count.
Doom Eternal looks fucking phenomenal on the Switch, considering like it is weak. We know it's weak, but it looks phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
What I want from a new Switch is better controllers attached.
Oh
because
God,
they're
yes.
flimsy and horrible.
The drag.
It's to make
drag's
it portable. We're gonna get a portable system, which I think is the best route for them to go to. I want better resolution, and obviously I want 60.
Yes.
I 720 is okay in handheld mode. So I want something in the dock, a little renderer, maybe an NVIDIA chip or something to upscale to monitor. That's all I want. Because like you said, in the hand, the games are fine. Like the textures in Bayonetta, you can't fucking see them on a normal Switch screen.
That's the thing is like, so I like to put my Switch like either it's docked. I have a dock up on my rig, or I have it. I have one in both bedrooms or both TVs.
The one in the bathroom, and then there's the kitchen switch.
You got the kitchen switch,
the porch switch.
But I mean, I like to play it docked because, just sometimes, like, honest to God, what I was doing when I would play like Fire Emblem Three Houses, I would work out while I was like in between turns. It's like it's a little bit easier and stuff. But yeah, you don't expect it. I don't think they really count on that. I think especially with a lot of people have the Switch Lite. And that's essentially just a Game Boy at this point.
Yeah.
What I would really like to see is better online capabilities because the online is trash on the Switch. Nintendo's always had issues with it.
Yeah.
But like even just I don't know about you two, but like when just going to access the Nintendo shop, it takes so
forever.
laggy. It's so bad.
Is that not the hardware though?
I don't know because it's even on my old my newer one does it.
This thing is thin though, man. Like this is built to be carried around.
Absolutely.
And I'm okay with that because of the nature of what it is. I just maybe something to upscale.
I would at least make it a little bit more accessible. That's what I'm meaning. Like when Animal Crossing was a huge phenomenon at the time. Obviously not anymore. I don't remember the last time I played it. It was just a fucking pain in the ass.
Yeah, like matchmaking and stuff, and like here's my friend code.
I have never even tried matchmaking, so I can't even comment on that. But just trying to get together with your friends because we would do like little group hangouts with our friends, so I hadn't seen in a while, and also because there's no like you can't access Discord or whatnot like through the through the Switch.
Yep.
And I have friends who didn't use Discord because their models, but we would just go. You had to use the Switch app.
Yeah.
There's
Through
a Switch
phone.
app. You do it through your phone.
Through your phone to talk through the fucking console. Yeah.
To talk to your friends while you're playing a game with them. It was the weirdest thing. Like I had to have my phone propped up on my desk because 2 of my friends didn't have Discord. And we were like playing on Animal Crossing. I was like, this is goofy as hell.
Yeah,
Why is this
100%.
the thing? Yeah.
To slightly counter Peachy's point, when, like, obviously you look at it and you go, oh, it's a handheld. But at the same time, they did lean quite hard into it's also an at-home console. It's just convenient to take it there. So there are absolutely going to be people who bought it for the at-home experience and don't care about the handheld experience.
It's primarily how I use my Switch.
Yes.
That's primarily how I use mine too. Like I don't really like playing handheld games. Just never really cared. And I think the only time I really did was like when I was on the on a plane fight or something.
Yeah.
Just prop it up, and that's fine. I don't mind it.
I'm not going to get a Steam Deck though. That is pricey.
Yeah.
It is pricey compared to the Switch, but for what it is basically
Oh, no,
a PC.
absolutely.
I think it's well priced, but it is out of budget for many people.
I don't think I'll use
handheld?
it enough. That's how I look at it. I wouldn't use it enough to justify the price tag. Whereas with a Switch, it's not that pricey. So yeah,
it is still an investment. We're not saying like
it is,
but
right. But
the difference for something. Oh, how often am I going to use this? Like I definitely know that a Steam Deck is not for me.
No,
I know that.
I agree. I'm 100% with you, Peachy. It's not for me. There's no way I could justify that price tag for a Steam Deck.
I would personally get one just for the convenience of just being like, oh, I'm in bed. Oh, look, I'm playing a game with my mate for an hour or so kind of thing.
I also don't give a shit about multiplayer. I play very little multiplayer games. I like single player games, and Nintendo are good at those.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are. I only comment on like whenever I don't play multiplayer either that much. I like to go at my own pace. Like we'll get into it when we talk about Starfield, but but the few times I would like to play multiplayer, like, and it's usually just like playing alongside somebody. I would prefer it to be a lot more accessible and like a lot more streamlined.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's all I mean.
I'm just saying I don't have much experience with it apart from Tetris 99. That's it. That's all
I don't play. I
fun.
have Smash Brothers, and I don't know about any of the matchmaking with that. I'm not really a big fan of Mario Kart. No, I don't really like racing games. So
what?
I know, crazy. But so I can't comment on the. I know.
Okay, the second half is all about Forza Motorsport coming out in a month.
That's fine. I don't care. I'll listen. I like listening. But what I mean is like, so I can't comment on the matchmaking, how like, what that experience is like.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I played a few games. I played Breath of the Wild. I did Mario Odyssey. That was okay for what it was. Smash, a couple others, and then for a long time it was just my Hades machine. Like that was all I ever used it for, playing Hades in bed before going to sleep.
Vampire Survivors is on it now, which is a great game. When that came out on the phone, I was stoked.
And
I have every single Doom game on my Switch, and I love playing Doom in bed. Doom 3 in bed. I got a little like goose arm, and I hold the screen there, and I use the controller lying in bed. It's the best.
With that same face, just going.
just
that
really
is my face when I play any Doom game.
Oh, that's so good. I think I have a lot of games I bought for the Switch, and I just don't play them. I haven't gotten around to it. It's just well, I mean, we already said this year has been so good for gaming, but at the same time, it kind of is terrible for like game players who don't. It's like I can't keep up with anything because I think I've been meaning to pick up Pikmin 4 because I heard that's great.
Right.
But I just don't know when the hell I'm gonna have time to play that.
I think to better answer your question, Peachy, is I would like for the hardware to not be a source of limitations, much like what we've seen with the Xbox S and the X, where with Baldur's Gate, they couldn't release the game on the Xbox because the S couldn't handle, I think it was co-op or split screen, one or the other, and that's why it got delayed. And then obviously Xbox have since walked that back at least, or made a deal with Baldur's Gate. And it's very similar with the Switch. The games, they are held back by the 720p 30 frames screen in handheld mode. So
AAA games are.
To be, it's in their
not
but to their
just
credit,
first-party
they
games
do work.
aren't really.
Well, yeah, first party games though are a very small pool, and I think the reality is that I would prefer if the handheld mode just didn't cause limitations for the folks.
Yeah,
who
no,
use
you're
it in
right.
docking mode, if you know what I mean.
So you're
That's
saying is
why
like,
I'm saying an upscaler would solve a lot of
Yeah.
things here.
Probably.
Maybe a bit more video memory in the dock itself.
Yes, although it
the
would be
thing is,
expensive
I
as
don't
hell
see
considering
them
the
going back to just primarily like home console, because I think it was part of the reason why they went to the direction they did with the Switch was because the Game Boy is like, I mean, it's still, well, I mean, not anymore, but like
Yeah.
that was their bigger
They're
seller.
prolific handheld makers.
Yeah, no,
And-
they're
and
all
great.
their handhelds have been
And it
beloved.
makes sense for them to go the direction of the Switch
Apart
of
from the
having that
Virtual Boy.
option. Yeah. It made sense for them to have the option because it's like it was appeasing both home console owners and handheld play
Yeah.
owners.
At the time, I think
So
the Switch was
so
the best
that's-
option for them.
Oh, totally. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot of graphical or hardware limitations because of that.
Yeah.
And
And-
God,
and to be
when you mentioned
clear-
the controllers, Peachy, though, the drift,
The belt
on
control. Oh, the
control
ooh.
drift.
drift,
Yeah.
it's so bad that
You
I-
need a separate controller if you have a
I
Switch.
use a
You
pro
need-
controller. I
Yeah.
have to. I refuse to use the Joy Cons. I only use them like out of like if I'm like I said like if I'm traveling and I'll just dock up, like pull it down like in front the tray in front of me on the plane, just dock it up there and play. But aside from that, I really try to avoid using those Joy Cons because it's aggravating.
Yeah, and to be clear, I don't think or want them to focus on the home console aspect for it. I still want it to have the functionality of being the Switch, where you can switch from one to the other. I just don't want it to be a
That's
case of
why they called it that.
yeah, exactly, right. So yeah,
You just blew my fucking mind, Brian.
Peachy Pixel 8.
Pixelate is a word, Brian.
I know. I was
It's a word.
I was just joking
It took
about
me
how
way too long to figure out what the A
likewise.
meant for a second.
Likewise. But yeah, like I just don't want it to be a
Think
case
of
of
me.
they have to hold back the game to just be able to run on handheld mode. And I don't know what the fix is, because
Right.
yes, if you do add stuff or hardware to the dock, then it still needs to be either the game needs to be programmed in a way where it will scale itself back automatically, or the hardware, the dock, is extraordinarily expensive. Like it's a plastic piece of shit for the current one, and it's 80 quid or whatever for a dock for the Switch One. So how much
I've
is it going
never
to be?
bought a
If
separate dock.
I've never bought a
But
separate.
DLSS is gonna help this.
Oh yes, massively.
Hugely.
So. Just to wrap things up then, what we do, well, I say no in inverted commas, we are aware that it's going to be potentially backwards compatible, because obviously they were
Good.
playing Zelda on 1080p 60 frames. It's not OLED, from what we're hearing, which is kind of like, oh. Considering the last one, obviously, the last version of the Switch is now OLED. And yes, it utilizes DLSS 3.
The screen is smaller than my phone. I don't need OLED.
I do like OLED. I'm a fan of it.
I know OLED is very nice, but I don't need it.
I've got OLED on all my screens on my multi-screen phone, so I've become very fond of it. Having proper blacks is just so nice and crisp. But yeah, we're gonna go to break, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back in 5 to 10 minutes after we see the doggy for a little bit. Hello, Ray Ray. But yeah, so we're gonna go into a break for the next 5 to 10 minutes. Go get yourselves a drink. Go get yourselves a little stroll and stretch your legs. Look at something that isn't a screen for a while. Otherwise, mics will be hot, and we'll see you shortly.
All right, let's go.
Welcome back,
All right.
everyone, to part 2 of the Fully Rendered podcast. Continuing on,
Hello.
we will jump into the second half. Pulp. Starfield.
Yes, present. Starfield. Yeah, awesome. I love it. I'm not gonna.
Good review. All right, what's next?
Yeah. 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10. No, Starfield's been great so far. I'm taking my time with it. So, any comments on the story? I have none. I've not really been doing anything like that. I started as a chef, and I've been doing a lot of the ranger side quest, where you're kind of like basically like the law enforcement. The game's been, it's great though. I don't really know what to say that I can add to it. It's a Bethesda game.
A question for you then. Has Baldur's Gate 3 impacted your opinion of Starfield and how you've approached it?
Yeah, I've played Baldur's Gate and Starfield the same way. Where I like to just roam anywhere and just completely avoid the main quest as much as I can, which is what I've been doing.
Right.
That's how I play Bethesda games too.
Yeah. There's a few I've never even beaten just because of that. Where unlike my fiance is like on NG plus 10 because I've had the story spoiled for me because of that.
Right.
But yeah, I've been trying to collect ship parts and learn about what I like about the game is you can land anywhere on the planets.
Yeah. There's like multiple zones.
It took me so long to figure that out. I did it by accident.
Because you can't actually fly onto the planet like manually. You have to pick like a landing spot or something like that. And then if you come off the planet, you can then land on a different landing spot, like adjacent to it and stuff like that, I believe. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically.
Kind of like No Man's Sky.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Would you?
I don't know. Go ahead.
What would you say is the roleplay experience like, especially in comparison to Baldur's Gate?
So I picked my class's chef, and I went with I think I did Enlightened, world famous, or when you have I have the Oblivion super fan following me around.
Right, yeah. What
Hero Roche it? Thank you.
What's the
and I have I think I have Wanted as well.
Do you want to just go into detail of like how the perk system works? Like what like you've given yourself Wanted. What does that mean?
I have a question as well, Pulp. Are you Spaceborne? Do you have shouts?
I know that there are some powers in the game. I haven't unlocked them yet, so I've
heard that you're Spaceborne and you have dragon shouts.
Yeah, I don't have it.
Okay, all right. Maybe that was just a meme then.
Yeah, so
no,
like,
I mean I know you could do like slowing down time because like I have someone sitting next to me all the time. They're playing it now, and all the time I look over and that everything's slowed down around them. But yeah, in the case with like I have Wanted as one of my traits, so you get hunted down with bounty hunters, and I always ignore them.
right.
I'll just like show up at a planet, and they'll be like, they're trying to start shit with me, and it's like you can engage or ignore, and they really don't like it when you ignore them.
Right.
I can't say I'm good at the space combat though, because I'm constantly getting shot down.
That's fair. I have heard some cool things about the perk system, like you've said. You've got the Wanted one where you'll have bounty hunters coming after you, kind of thing. Another one I heard about is the parent system, where you get the parent perk, and what that does is you have parents that live on another planet, on like a home planet or something.
I don't have that one. I want to do a playthrough with that one so I don't know about the parent one at all. I decided to do Hero Worship because they already announced it, and when they did the announcement trailer for Starfield that you were going to get a fan following you, and it literally looks like the same guy from Oblivion. So I had to, and he's on my ship, and when I've talked to him a few times, he'll bring up like that. I asked him one time, I was like, are you interested in me romantically? He's like, no, everything is purely platonic. I was like, okay, you got to up it up then. You got to, let's make this creepier.
Right.
You can literally tell the guy that you want him to be a little bit more obsessive than you.
That's cool. That's
God.
Cool.
There's some really goofy shit that in it. But with the Wanted perk, I was able to, because I did the Rangers, and with that, it's like, yeah, you're kind of like law enforcement. They want you to end everything platonically. And it starts off by going into a hostage situation. And I could just like straight up tell them, it's like, no, I don't really give a shit. I'm more wanted than you.
Right. Yeah, I've
So
heard a lot about the perks. Like the parental one is your parents live off on another planet, and then they'll just occasionally visit you, and you send them like, I think it's like 2%.
I know you send them like 10% of your money. Yeah, that's why I think that's why I didn't pick that one.
Yeah, so you send them a bit of your money, and then every now and then they'll come and visit you. And apparently there's like a lot of story and depth to it, like in terms of like narrative stuff. Yeah, they'll come up like, oh, you're our best boy. Oh, we made you a cake. Or they'll just give you items that may actually be like useful to you and stuff like that. There's a mortgage one where you have a mortgage that you're paying again. It's a certain amount of your money goes out every like cycle or whatever.
Oh, man,
and then you can go to that house.
Character already.
Yeah, so there's like loads of like RP perks and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's cool. RP perks.
Yeah, so
that's cool.
Yeah.
It's
see, I just have a simp.
You just have the simp chasing you around. And from what I've been hearing a lot of people say, that there is a lot of agency, a lot of freedom to explore, but it's done in different ways. So in comparison to say how freedom and to do what you want is done in Baldur's Gate or in Elden Ring and such, which have all been the top games for the past year or so. It's the ones that give you so much player agency. Do you find that you feel like you have a lot of agency in the game to do what you want, or is there certain things on rails a little bit, or is there things missing that you wish were there?
Yeah, like I said, right. What I've just been doing is I was doing a lot of bounty hunting. I was working for the bank for a while, and I would just go in and I didn't care. As soon as I got the money, I would kill them.
Right.
And just take over everything.
Fair.
So far, I can't really comment on some of the other quest threads, but with like right now, I'm still doing the Ranger one. I'm really intrigued by like what's going on with that one. But I think but there's incentive for everything. Like, you can get yourself some ships for some of these longer threads. But when it comes to player choice, so far I haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
To say how much of like what I've actually been able to been given agency over, just besides what I've already been doing.
Right. Bless her. Have you dabbled in like the ship building aspect of it yet?
No, I haven't touched that yet.
Yeah, I've heard some people just don't touch it at all.
It's kind of daunting. I went in.
Don't let the dog do his thing.
I went in. I went in and I accidentally got a ship during I got
accidentally. That's called pirating. Trust me, I know.
It was a total accident. I was doing this. I was just going. Like what I do with Bethesda is I just go down and like my in the journal, see what quests are there, and it's like, oh, this sounds kind of fun. Let's go take a look at this. And it was for the Mantis ship.
Right.
And one, I got my ass handed to for way too long, an embarrassingly long time. I was determined to figure out what was going on. And then you go in, I just completely, I invaded them and just killed everybody in there. And I ended up with a new ship. It was kind of fun.
Right.
So, but when it comes to like how many people you can assign to your ship as your crew, I like a lot of that just was going over my head. I didn't know I had a cargo for a while.
Right.
So I ran in and I saw that I could only put 2 people in my crew, and I was like, oh, I'll go take a look at the ship customization. We'll just fix that. I just noped right out. It's kind of convoluted for me.
Yeah, I'm
sure once I get a chance to sit down and look at it, it might make more sense.
Have you guys seen the donut ship build that AI cannot destroy?
I haven't, no.
So people are building ships however they want. It seems pretty involved. But they're making basically a frame around the outside with all the stuff on bits around the outside. And the AI, who's trying to kill you, is aiming for the dead centers. They just shoot through the middle of your ship and they can't kill you.
Right, okay.
Oh, that's actually really genius.
So it's like a horizontal donut, effectively.
Well, they've just made like a square, which like a cube, basically, with nothing in the middle. Okay. So when the AI shoots at them, it goes through the middle.
Just goes through.
Like it doesn't hit anything. It just goes all the way through.
I mean, that just adds to the ingeniousness of gamers when they put their mind to it.
It is pretty stupid, but that's pretty fun.
I love that.
What would you say you don't like about the game, if anything?
I really hate how much the NPCs talk.
Really?
Oh, is it one of those?
I will be walking like so. I only did a little bit of the main story, and I had this one chick following me around. Her name is Sarah. Sarah and I got beef because my God, I do not like Sarah. I'll be running like I was like in the middle of combat, they'll just start talking. And
Right.
I'll be like, what the fuck? Shut up, Sarah. My God.
I heard about that.
I'm
And she's
in the
like, oh,
middle
we
of
really need to talk. And you're like, I'm in a fucking
yeah, she literally
gunfight.
will do that. I will do something. I will do something out of nowhere. She's like, we need to talk
What
right
do you want
now.
for
And I'm
dinner?
like, I don't want to talk to you, Sarah.
Yeah. I've heard about that.
So like, I've had her leave a couple of times. She like will just I have thank God for autosaves. The amount of times she'll just drop it, like it'll say Sarah's mad at you. I'm like, oh, is she? She's mad. And I'll go talk to her, and I thank God for persuasion. I persuaded her to think that I was apologizing.
Right.
There is a
wasn't
fine
sorry.
line between a game feeling alive because people are talking and please shut the fuck up.
Yeah. There's a lot of times I'll be playing and just someone will start talking. I'm like, I'm not even paying attention to you. Like, what are like you hear them from behind you, and it's pretty like it's kind of clear, and you'll like they're going off about something. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right. That's
So
fair.
if there's one complaint I have with the game is I really wish the NPCs would shut the fuck up.
That's fair. With regards to
And also they're very sensitive about a lot of things. Sarah doesn't really like it when I kill people without warning.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I imagine that could be quite upsetting. But yeah,
She doesn't like it when I steal. If I steal, I had to like I will have to tell her to stay somewhere so I can go, like I wanted to go rob someone.
just put a bucket on her head.
Basically. No, I told her to wait outside in a freezing cold planet. And I went inside and I just completely pilfered this area after I collected the debt, then killed them, and then just took everything, walked inside. It's like, all right, Sarah, let's go.
No wonder she wants to talk, but you keep leaving her in the cold. She's like, listen, we need to stop this kind of thing. With regards to
She deserves it.
The NPCs and the talking and stuff. Me and Peachy briefly spoke about like whether we were going to try it. One of the things that actually has like stopped me from jumping in, for lack of a better phrase, is the uncanny valley of when you speak to someone and then it goes, hi, let's have a conversation.
It's so good.
And it's just like
there are a lot of bugs with talking to people where like they're still like the strange head
side
turns,
eye.
bombastic side eye, and then you have like I love how many people will get in the way of like they're in front, like stand in front of them while I'm trying to talk to. It's like, hello.
Like, can you not?
Well, the older creation engine games would pause the game world around you while you're at a conversation,
No, they don't.
right?
They don't do it in this. So you'll be
well, that's
talking.
good because I don't want that to happen. But
it leads to some really funny moments for you, Peachy. Like just standing there talking to someone, they're telling you about like something terrible, and some guy just comes up, stands right behind him, and stares at you, and you're like,
hello,
hello, sir, and I'm not paying attention to you anymore, madam. Do you need something, sir?
Right. I'm interested in what made you take the approach.
A lot. I will say it's a lot of fun. Like it's what, since I didn't really play much Fallout 4, so I can't comment on how that went. But like I really loved Skyrim a lot, and it's basically like it adds on to like some of the mechanics of like what Skyrim had. It's just they improved a lot.
That's fine. I'm interested in what made you take the approach of doing like the side content first and whether you think it's good.
I'm just so much more interested in the side content. Like I've heard, I love side content. I want to know more about the story, like the universe around me. I want to know more about the people, and I love that you can walk around and someone will say something, and that you get a new quest that will pop up.
Right.
It makes the world feel alive, right?
Yeah, and you'll hear. I have this one that I think I screwed up, but I went into I think it was in Mars, and I went into this bar area, this tavern, and this one guy with very animated eyebrows was talking to me a lot about like this project that he was having where he was trying to like he was going to try to colonize a planet. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word. And part of like one of the criteria is I have to listen for people, and I'm like, nope. Apparently I did it. I overheard someone talking, and it's like, oh, now you have to talk to him. Like, who?
Right.
So they do have a lot of quests where like there is a requirement of like you listening on people, or you could pick up quests from just listening to people, which is kind of neat.
Bethesda's world building has always been great, and I think having an alive world
really done a good job with this one.
It does show quality of an RPG. Like when you play a like a Ubisoft game, and they have tons of side stuff to do.
Yeah.
If you if you're like me and apparently Pulp, like you're just like, I don't care about the main quest. I just want to go and do stuff.
I've heard the main quest is pretty neat. Like there's some like probably multiverse
like
shit.
That's
I don't
where
know.
the lion's share of writing usually goes, but. Like in a Ubisoft game, you do all the side stuff. It's kind of lame. There's no effort in it.
Yeah, go.
Like
and they're on about using AI to just shit out crap. Like I don't want that.
I kind of have some neat things, like details. Sometimes I think the one that comes to mind when it comes to Ubisoft is in Far Cry 5, where you'll go. It's one of their like it's basically a fetch quest kind of shit, but it's set in like a haunted house, and it turns out that it might actually everybody in there was like actually bodies but it wasn't really like a made up haunted house. So like that's kind of cool. You can expand on shit like that, make it like give me more information, maybe make it a whole quest line, because I'd love to see that where you're hunting down a killer or something. But they'll have good ideas, but it's just poorly executed. But like, yeah, I mean, what I like is I love goofy side quests. Anything that just gives you more information about the world around me, and just anytime I could like just let me run off and do my own thing. I hate being put on rails, and that's why games like Skyrim, like I'll play them for like hours and hours and hours, and I won't get anywhere in the main quest because it gives me because I have so much freedom to just do whatever I want. Whereas like in contrast with like Baldur's Gate, which I do love Baldur's Gate, in Act 1 you get to a certain point and it's like, oh, I already did everything, that's all that's available for me, and then you have to go on.
After 8 characters playing through it and finding new stuff, I disagree with that.
Well, I mean, I kind of had like nothing left to do in Act 1 at least. And then I was like, all right, I'll just go on and do the that's what I was referring to.
And that makes sense.
Like I did 8 different characters, and that like all 8 of my characters have gone through the first map, and on my 8th character I still found new shit.
Oh no, I was meaning just one playthrough though. But
you'd run out of things to do, and I didn't have that experience with Baldur's Gate personally.
Yeah, I think what Pulp's saying is with one like character, you've made your character in Baldur's Gate 3, you've done all you can in Act 1 with that one character, you then have to move on to the next act. Whereas there isn't like these invisible walls in Starfield. You just go out into space on that one character, one playthrough, and effectively have infinite stuff to do because of the sheer scale of it. That you're not forced into another zone, if that makes sense.
No, because when it comes to like Baldur's Gate, there's so much to do, and any new player, there's always gonna be like different routes, and like there's a lot. But it all depends on like what your decisions are, and like maybe your class or what have you. Whereas just like I said, I'll be running around, and just out of nowhere I'm like in this area, Tequila City, and I'm like running around, all of a sudden I have 3 new quests that just popped up because somebody said something next to me, and they'll tell me to go talk to that person.
So it's like emergent quests. Are these like randomly generated stuff?
Or like they'll it's like there's the mission boards where you can go and pick up quests from there, like that are specific for certain groups, like like the vanguards and shit. And then like I'll just be running around, and all of a sudden I'm picking up quests.
The reason I asked why you went with the side quest as your priority is because in a lot of the reviews that I've been reading, there's been a lot of remarks about the early game being quite slow, and then people will go, oh, I've blasted through the campaign, and then the game opens up even more or whatever. I don't know what the details are, because apparently there's like a lot of spoiler stuff.
I don't know what those people are saying, because I have so much to do.
Right.
I can, if I wanted to, like everything is marked by like the specific icon, so which is what goes with what group, what could be like its own standalone thing, or what can what it actually is part of the main quest.
Right.
but I don't know what those people are saying where there's not like the early game. Yeah, of course, it's just like any other Bethesda game because I have two characters. I started one on my own, and then I'm just playing the one still that I was streaming.
Right.
And of course, it's like Skyrim. It's the same opening. Like you go through the same the same intro.
Right.
But then once you get to it takes like an hour or two, and you gain access to the ship, like. You don't have to stick with anything. You could just go off and run and do your own thing. That's what I've been doing.
Right. That's fair.
And I feel like the other Bethesda games are the same way. Like you could just run off and do whatever you want. Like yeah, you can go and follow the main quest, but I, honest to God, just like I got the, I went and got the artifact because you're like collecting artifact shit.
Right.
I think. But that's how much I know about the main quest because I got access to the ship and I was able to kind of wander and like look around. They told me to go to Mars. I think that was when I was like, I'm just going to go see what I could find.
Right.
Yeah.
And did a couple side quests there. And I was like, yep, I'm going to go back here. Found the bank. I stumbled in the bank. They're like, hey, you want to do some bounty hunting or debt collection? Sorry. And I was like, yes, I absolutely want to collect some debt. Let me break some legs.
Right.
That's how I played the first person Fallout games and Skyrim. Like, yeah, I do some of it when I'm like, I don't know, let's just push this forward, but I just want to experience the world. Bethesda are very good at visually, at least, giving world building. So
really
having quests just kind of appear, that does sound good. I won't love it until it comes to the.
I already know you're gonna love it because if you play the same as I do, I literally do. I like on occasion I'll be like, I'm gonna go and do the main quest. Might as well. But then
when it costs the price of an actual video game, I'll buy it.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll play on Game Pass.
I mean, it's on Game Pass. I know people have been playing it there.
Yeah, who wants to own anything? No, I'm not getting into Game Pass again. I keep bitching about this on stream. I'm getting more and more hatred for these subscription game services.
Yeah, no, I get it.
And there's going to be an entire episode where I formulate all my ideas and just completely destroy them.
I'm not using Game Pass. My fiance bought it for my birthday, so gave me the early access. So I've had it. And I mean, it's nice to have that if you're not sure about the game. But I mean, honest to God, like I don't mind. Like the price tag isn't really that big of a deal in considering how much gameplay you're actually going to have in this.
That's fine.
There's a lot to do.
I think I will be picking it up eventually. I think probably there's 700 mods for it already within like the first day. But I'm waiting for more mods, mostly because I have a sneaking suspicion that they are somewhat being dependent on mods. The reason I say that, I have a theory that this has come about from. Alanah Pierce flew to Pluto manually. It took her 7 hours. And the reason she did it is because she noticed that in the skybox, the planets were moving. And she was like, are these actually orbiting? And it turns out, yes, you can actually fly to the planets.
You can go there.
But when she got there, she flew through it and then got stuck inside it. And the spherical boundary just disappeared from the inside. So she had to like basically fly in one direction until she flew out. And then you could turn around and be like, oh, there's Pluto. We were just in Pluto. But obviously there's 7 hours of empty space there. So I'm wondering if they're going to be like, oh, well, modders can fill that up with whatever the fuck they like. And they're obviously saying they're going to be providing, obviously, modding tools. And obviously, we're not surprised by that. Bethesda games don't necessarily rely on modding tools. But
Skyrim is still around because of modders. They know that.
That and reselling it on every single platform, including the Amazon
Yeah, but they wouldn't
Echo.
be able to resell it if that wasn't kept alive by modders. I'm sure they're aware of it.
There is so much potential for modding in this game. I mean, I've been just like, I haven't really been like flying around space too much because I'm just running like I really like that I could just go into the journal and just when I want to start working on a quest, I just hit, I think it's like the R button. I think it's R or something, and it just automatically maps it on my star map. And it's like, perfect, let's go.
That's fair.
Make the jump. I love it. It makes it it's such a breeze, especially because I accidentally got that new ship. I
mean, I feel like I've been somewhat spoiled by the quality of Baldur's Gate. Like I mentioned earlier, you've got the uncanny valley, like, I'm an NPC, let's have a chat. Whereas in Baldur's Gate, you've got mocap, fully voice acted mocap stuff. There's a lot more feeling and life to the
not
NPCs.
comparable to Baldur's Gate's like mocap and the NPCs. Absolutely not. But that's why I started by saying, like, it's a Bethesda game. When you go in, it's Bethesda. All all the characters have the uncanny valley. You know, there's not a lot of depth. My God, the amount of eyebrow movement in the game is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I was talking to one guy, and he just every once in a while he's just like, dead stare. Just doing this constantly. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are his eyebrows? And then he sounded like Kermit the Frog too. And I was, shit, it was driving me nuts.
Yeah, it's hopefully something that modders will be able to fix later. And it's on Game Pass, so I'll check it out then.
I'm willing to write that off though, because of how big the world is.
Right.
Like, there's only so much you can do.
That's fair.
It seems like they put so much focus on building the world, making all these different planets and making them all look so unique and giving you so much to do on each planet. I haven't really come across a lot of alien life forms yet. Like, I think just a couple of times.
Okay.
Just like two, like a giant larva and shit. So I can't comment on that, but I want to see what else there is, because I picked the chef class because I want to be able to eat something.
Right.
I want to eat an alien. I want to eat aliens.
That would be an interesting mechanic to explore, I imagine.
Well, you could cook and so do all that stuff. So, and not very good at it.
That's fair. So to summarize then, if you enjoy Bethesda games, jank included, and the funny bombastic side-eye moments and glitches, then you're going to like Starfield. If you're looking for innovation, is it probably a bit more of a turn-off? Is there a lot of innovation, would you say, compared to previous games like Skyrim?
I mean, if you don't... I don't know. I mean...
Shipbuilding is a cool thing.
Shipbuilding, and then you have outpost building, which I haven't touched that yet.
Right.
I
assume that's going to be Fallout 4 outpost building, is it?
Pretty much, yeah.
Right.
But like, you can pick your plan, and I don't know, my fiance's been doing that right now. I don't know. I already like made the decision. I'm not touching shipbuilding or outpost building for a while. I just want to specifically focus on just like looking around and finding new areas. Like, as it is, I haven't even been past like a certain cluster of systems and planets, because like I just been so engrossed in the side quest. However, when it comes to innovation, like, yeah, you have these new features for sure that people are going to like, but if you're at the end of the day, it still feels like a Bethesda game. So if you don't like how like Fallout or Skyrim plays, if that's not interesting to you, you're not going to like this one that much more.
That's fair. Moving on.
Yeah.
In that case, but somewhat adjacent. Did you guys hear about the Starfield leaker / thief / fucking idiot?
Leaker. Saying leaker gives him this just aura of, he just stole some games from a fucking shop. Like, what an asshole. And then he was stupid about it.
Yeah.
What did he do?
So from the beginning, there was a guy who worked in a distribution warehouse or something like that. And he pilfered 67 copies of Starfield prior to release. And then to prove that he had it, he, I think, recorded on his phone, his screen of 40 minutes of footage that he then unleashed onto the internet. And then
badly played, because he clearly wasn't a gamer.
And then he was trying to sell these copies through eBay. Some people confirmed that they got copies of it. And then he would basically post on TikTok going, oh, yo, Todd Howard, like, it's a good game, man, good game, kind of thing, and just like basically broadcasting that he was like stealing shit. No, this is like
he wasn't.
Fully grown adult.
Yeah, like 20-something-year-old, like working in a warehouse, stole 67 copies, broadcasted it all over
Face on
TikTok.
the screen.
Yeah, like basically the most stupid thief on the planet, and he's been. I think they also found drugs in his home as well, and like firearms and stuff like that. Yeah, so basically the Fed showed up and were like, oh, we didn't care about the leak, but like the 67 copies of the game that he stole, kind of a problem, kind of thing. And then it just
also
snowballed.
Because of the amount, if he stole like a couple, like a handful less, he'd get a lower charge. I can't remember what it was. Just one idiot.
Yeah,
Like,
it tickled me.
when you say leaking, like legitimate, oh yeah, someone was leaking some stuff. Do you know what I mean? But no, he just stole some fucking games.
Yeah.
No, it's just an idiot with a phone.
Yeah.
And access to a game.
Pretty much.
And it with a phone, which is the new theme for my TikTok.
I like it. Out of the two of you, I think it was Peachy's turn to pick a subject.
You pick a subject, Brian. I'd actually like to talk about Warhammer.
Sure.
Very quickly. They've just released.
It's not a fully rendered episode without some Warhammer.
And sorry, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
No, don't be.
It's just they've just done a huge balance patch. Now the way they were doing 10th edition is that they wanted to mostly balance with points. Now you get a certain amount of points and you can buy parts of an army and put them together, like 2,000 points, 1,000 points, you can buy stuff. So that's how they wanted to balance it. But they've had to change some core rules and add and remove like actual tags in armies. My Death Guard here, they have been fixed. I was painting this today, actually.
That's why I laughed. I just saw it in like swing.
They had a big disparity. Like I think it was Dark Eldar, Drukhari, whatever they're called, were just destroying everything. And these boys and Leagues of Voltan were really bad. So they've done a full patch, which they said they weren't going to do, but it was bad, and they changed it. And I think that's a good thing.
Right.
We've not really seen enough games to see if this has worked. And we've got some new codexes coming out as well, which might change some stuff. But big, massive patch. They kind of want them between like 5%, like 55% to 45%, because then everyone can have fun, even if you're not playing at the top level.
Right.
So that patch just came out, which is huge, and it's all free online, as all the new rules are. I just wanted to mention that Warhammer exists, in case anyone forgot that Warhammer exists.
I've never heard of Warhammer.
Okay, so the God Emperor of Mankind, bioengineered the 20 Primarchs.
To be fair,
I've been sitting there trying to figure out how the fuck am I going to do an episode where I explain Warhammer to you, because it's huge, right? And I've got it. The first episode is, what are Space Marines? Nice and easy, except it's not, because I'm like, okay, let me grab some information. I'm like, this is the least easy choice I could have made.
it's just a flow chart that starts from there and then goes 20 different branches.
It just goes
immediately.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I've been trying to figure out where to start, and I think
that episode I will have a notepad the whole time and just be like,
because there'll be questions the following episode.
I will have questions, and there will be a pop quiz.
Yeah,
there will be a pop quiz.
To be fair, obviously you mentioned balancing. I imagine balancing Warhammer is very hard to do, because of course you've got these individual figures, or you can buy a pack of 6 or 12 or whatever. But obviously there's going to be so much difference from army to army. That
people buy shit because they look cool, and they want to paint them. Like some people, like, I don't think competitive play is that important. I know that's a horrible thing to say, but I don't think it's that important.
Do you find like 20 people have the same army because it's the army?
Sort of. People are using the same things that are strong stuff. You know, if you're playing at the top level, it's just the difference was so bad that if you took the wrong army, you had no chance.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as it's balanced enough to have fun, which it wasn't really for, like, my army in particular, I think that's fine, because you're mostly just like having fun playing a game. If you lose and you still have fun, I think that's okay.
Yeah.
But if you're just getting stomped all the time, that's not fun. If you don't feel like you've got a chance. But yeah, it's going to be a hard thing to balance. That's why they're doing it with points, so they can, and with these digital updates, that they can just go, oh, this costs more now, so you can't get as many as you want, or you can also have this in the army.
Sorry, I'm just resting on like an ice pack, and it's the most beautiful thing on the planet right now.
The competitive play is huge in America. Like that, right. Most people who are into war, not all, obviously, but I would say the larger point of Americans who play Warhammer is to be competitive. Like I like it. Like yeah, the games are cool and all that, but I like it because I want to paint with little men.
You want
and
to paint the little men.
He's got a little monster, and I want to paint. That's
Yeah.
that's why I'm into it.
That's fine.
But it's huge. So you need some balance, but I don't think it needs to be like League of Legends pro play balance.
Right.
I don't think that's as important. But obviously, if you're a competitor and you're playing in leagues and all that stuff, that's very important to you. I understand.
Yeah.
I understand why there needs to be balance.
Yeah.
For sure.
That's
Makes
fine.
sense.
Oh, Sea of Stars. Apparently you hate it.
Yes, I don't hate it.
I know.
It is a very, very pretty game. Like it's very beautiful. The music's actually it's pretty decent from what I've heard. But we were talking about reviews and like looking at these arbitrary numbers. I wanted to bring up I saw Sea of Stars brought up, and I was like, I said I was prepared to be a contrarian in regards to the positive reviews. The game is not bad, but when I was playing it, I checked it out on Game Pass. I was thinking of buying it anyway, just to support the developers, because I do want to see more work like this come out.
Yeah.
Because while the game itself looks beautiful, the writing is very bad.
I have heard that.
Very poor. It's very poor.
I've heard the writing is the story is good. The localization is bad. Like there's grammar and spelling mistakes and stuff.
So okay, let me put it this way. So the game when I started playing it, I got a huge exposition dump. It kind of throws you in the middle of what they're doing, and then they're like, let's go back in time and find out who these people are. And I checked out halfway through because it was just the main characters have no personality whatsoever. You can't really differentiate between them, and there's just so much there's so much dialogue for barely anything being said.
Right.
And when I was playing it, and like the gameplay is fine. There's each character has like 3 skills, a couple of like they can use it every other turn. They made it out like I saw someone point out and I forgot about it because so this was one of those games I wanted to look at negative reviews because I wanted to see if my opinions were if anybody else, like, am I being the asshole?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So, and this was when I went on, first one when I went on Steam, it was all overwhelmingly positive, and I was like, okay, I disagree. It shouldn't be, I wouldn't say it's not a 10 out of 10, maybe a 7 out of 10. Yeah. So I went and I saw a few people starting to bring up, like, of course you see those. I love my favorite reviews are don't listen to the bad reviews. It's like, shut the fuck up. Do not say that because that's so rude. Good. I saw someone point out that it looks like they went with the first draft, which I agreed immensely. But they point out in the tutorial section, and this is where I didn't even notice it until someone pointed out that it gets compared to Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger a lot. And the Mario RPG aspect or Paper Mario is when you time the A button. Well, I'm playing on a controller, so when you time the button, you can get a double 2 attacks.
Yeah. And
they make it out, it's like, oh, it's not a big deal if you miss it. Well, above each of the enemies, you'll see like little icons point at like a hammer or a sword or something. It's some like the illusion of strategy, where it's like, oh, I gotta hit him with this character, gotta hit him with the blunt, gotta hit him with the slashing. And if you don't hit it so many times, then it'll have 2, and it's like, how the fuck am I supposed to do that? You got to do the double attack a lot. There's a lot of things that they kind of like misguide you into thinking like, oh, I could just kind of roll with it. But there's not really much depth to the actual combat. It gets very old very fast.
Right.
And I think, like I said, the game is beautiful.
Yeah.
When it comes to the story, I, honest to God, with my full chest, can not tell you what the fuck is going on. Because I don't care. Like, they have the best friend that's with them, and I was telling my fiance that this is, whenever you play a game, there's always that one chubby character, and you're like, all they have to talk about is food, and it's like he's fat. That's all it is, and that's his character. Like the whole time, I'm like every chance, I'm like,
No
oh
depth.
my god, like there's no depth to this character whatsoever. And they try to make it out like he's the quirky, goofy one. And it's like, nope, there's nothing here for me. I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care about anything that happens. And there's this area I got to where these pirates show up, and I saw a review, and I was like, oh my god, it's exactly how I felt. Where they said it felt like a mod, that a fan made mod. Like the characters were so like out of place, none of it made sense. The dialogue was like so like goofily poorly written, and it's like, yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. So,
I do wonder if that's because of. Like if they went, because as far as I'm aware, they're not a US or native English-speaking studio. So I wonder if they went with a third party who just did a shit job of the localization.
Oh.
That's a relatively common thing.
It really makes the game reflect poorly, because I did see a lot of all the reviews that were negative, which is what echoed my belief, is that the writing is poor. And this is why I was also saying, like right now, I don't really need to be spending the extra money, but I would actually buy the game outright just to support the developers, because there's a lot of work that went into this. It is very pretty to look at.
Yeah.
And everything's so well animated, and it just like it's sad, because like when I'm playing, I just don't care. And I don't have a lot of drive to keep going.
Right,
so
that's fair play. It's one I'm going to be checking out at some point. I played the demo, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I am concerned after hearing about the localization that I'm going to be reading dialogue and be like, what is this horseshit kind of thing?
There's a lot. The thing is they inundate you with a lot in the beginning. Like you go through the small area, it's like two fights, and they're trying to give you this backstory, and it's like I said, you're just not going to care.
Right. That's fair.
I stayed away from it because I thought it was a story game, which I.
But that's the thing, is like when they're playing, because I love Chrono Trigger and the composers for Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross, and it sounds like him. Like it sounds more like Chrono Cross to me. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cute. But when I was talking to my fiance about this, and I was saying to him about how, like, when you play Chrono Trigger, like the first part that comes to mind, like you see the robot when he pops up, and it's a short scene, but he's just so charming, and like how everyone reacts to it. It's not even like there's not a lot there, but you can get an idea of who the character is just from the short interaction from their introductory. These characters, not so much. That like you can't differentiate between the two main characters. Right. They have no personality whatsoever. And again, now knowing that there's with the localization, that's probably it.
Yeah,
and it's incredibly unfortunate, because the game is so fucking pretty.
Right. Yeah, I suspect it is localization. The reason I say that is because with the Steam reviews, you've obviously remarked that a lot of them are overwhelmingly positive. They're global reviews, so they could be people not playing in English, for example. So they'll be like,
that's actually
the
a good
story's
point.
great.
I didn't even think of that.
The dialogue's fantastic. What are you talking about? And then all the English-speaking reviewers are like, what the fuck is that kind of thing? So it was Jason Schreier, for example, who brought it to my attention, where he said, like, I love all of this thing, and then said all the writing and the dialogue was just filled with spelling mistakes and stuff like that. So it could be that things were misinterpreted, and the personality may potentially show in other languages.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like in this case, I would like to purchase the game to support the developers, and because I want to see more games like this come out. Because
they clearly need more money to get better.
For sure. And it's like I'm looking at it now. I'm looking at the Steam now, and I do see more negative reviews that are not specifically negative. They're basically saying, like, the writing's not compelling or interesting for how much text the game has. There's just things like that, and this is where, when it comes to reviews and why negative reviews can be extremely helpful, is that if you're going in and you're a lot more story oriented, or you really want to see like a very compelling, in-depth combat system, and someone's pointing out here that the equipment doesn't do anything. There's no buffs. There's no debuffs. There's nothing really except for like just pay attention to the icons above above whomever you're fighting, and make sure to match that and get it. Then you'll be able to interrupt their attack.
Right.
There's no I don't know if there's really any like status effects I came across. Although all the your items are just healing items.
Right.
So it's very shallow. And if you're going in, like when someone tells you, even though Super Mario RPG and Chrono Trigger, they're kind of shallow in and of themselves, but they still have like those extra aspects of just the layers.
Yeah.
Put them to sleep and it'll make it a little bit easier to fight them. They won't hit you so often. But when you go in and it's like that surface level, you're going to be disappointed. So seeing that in a review is helpful to someone. Like I went in, I was hearing that this was going to be a lot like Chrono Trigger, hearing that this is going to be a lot like Super Mario RPG. Those are two of my favorite games. I already have Mario RPG pre-ordered.
Right.
And I go in and it's like, why do I not like this? And I felt douchey because I would go on and see these overwhelmingly positive reviews. And, where you said, like, if anyone says anything negative, I saw reviews saying, like, don't listen to the negative ones. It's like, no, I went seeking those out. So I wanted to make sure that I wasn't losing my mind going, like, am I just an asshole and I don't like this game?
Yeah. No, and that's very valid. It does perplex me when people...
It's totally valid.
Sorry?
Being an asshole is totally valid.
Being an asshole
is valid, but yeah, no.
I also can be I admit that I can be nitpicky at times.
But
so
even then, at the end of the day, if a game makes you feel a certain way, you can't just have someone come up to you and go, "Well, I didn't feel that way, so therefore, fuck you." Like at the end of the day, like something may not necessarily be for you, and how you get that opinion across is important.
Right.
Like I don't like it when people say music is bad or whatever. Yeah, and that's fair.
I would like to know things like this because if I had known ahead of time, it's kind of like when Scorn came out, and I was looking forward to Scorn, and then I found out it wasn't anything we were assuming it was going to be.
Right.
And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait until it's a little cheaper. Maybe if it, I think it was even on Game Pass, and I downloaded it. And I never even gotten around to. No, I think I got like 10 minutes in. It was something like that. I just wasn't interested. But that's where it becomes more important for us to have like these like on open discussions about these games. While like you don't need to have these arbitrary numbers of like 10 out of 10 because like if someone really likes it, they're going to throw those 10 out of 10s out, or the 1 out of 10 if they don't like it, or 5, what have you. So that's why I like the not recommended and recommended, because I could say, as if there's no like side quests. Like I haven't come across any side quests yet. Maybe there are, and I just haven't really paid attention. Right. Or I haven't gotten far enough. But like what we were talking with Starfield, like I can't say like, hey, Peachy, you'd like this, because there's all these side quests of the game, and there's all these like there's all this innovation in here that I think you really like. It's like I can, but so yeah,
that's fine.
Game's pretty.
So the game's shit, basically.
0 out of 10. Do not buy.
0.
Refund.
The game sucks. Don't ever buy it.
That's fair.
Don't waste your time.
Do you guys have time for one more subject, or shall we do shoutouts?
Which subject? But you haven't picked the subject yet, Brian.
Yeah, Brian, it's your choice.
Okay.
And then we'll.
Oh, I think I know.
I know what it is.
I mean, it's not that big a deal. So I was going to pick Skull and Bones loses another creative director.
Oh, whoa!
Actually,
that's the plot twist of the
For those who are unaware at home, we have the agenda written out, and they thought I was going to talk about Diablo 4 confirms expansions, which is literally it. But so yeah, Skull and Bones, the game that just keeps on giving. They've gone through their third creative director.
Keep on losing.
Now, Ubisoft have come out with a statement, and I'm going to be paraphrasing, and I might be, for entertainment purposes, changing the wording a little bit. But basically, what they said was, yeah, people leave jobs all the time. that was basically what they said. It was a bit more, it was a little bit more concise. Basically, they were asked what happened, and they said, oh, well, when someone's done in their role, sometimes they move to new roles on other projects. And it's like, okay.
Creative director is done in his role, is he?
Yeah, the creative director is done in their role before the game has finished. Now, I don't know about you guys, but when I follow games and get to know the staff on board, usually the creative director is there till post-launch, at least for a little bit. Maybe if they do an expansion, they get a new one then. But yeah, this seems a bit weird. And of course, when people are like, well, so what happened? Did they just get moved to another Ubisoft project, or did they just get offered something else elsewhere and they left? But yeah, they were basically like, yeah, people leave jobs all the time. What are you talking about? Fuck off. We're Ubisoft kind of thing. But yeah, that obviously really tickled me, because I'm sure you guys are the same. You're probably thinking, yeah, no, there's definitely something more to this.
Yeah,
like either they were sacked or they left on their own accord.
It's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
The game is cursed, man.
It's, oh God.
And it's coming out.
And they have to release it. They have to. Legally, they have to release it. It's going to be a state, man. It's going to be
I can't
just...
wait.
I kind of want to play it because I want to know what
play it too.
they've done.
The thing is, I bet it won't even be like bad in terms of like mechanically or buggy or anything like that. I think it would just be boring, and that's why it would be bad.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the biggest crux of it.
You're right.
I think they don't know how to make it exciting, which is weird because they
Well,
already had the
because the
formula.
concept, we wanted it 7 years ago.
True. Very, very true. Very, very true. But that was it, basically. Did you guys have anything to add to that with regards to the creative director?
I think it sounds great.
The game's going to be amazing. 10 out of 10.
Okay, so just to, they, like, maybe they sacked them because they were a horrible person.
Maybe.
Maybe they did something really bad. Maybe that's why they've gotten rid of them. And it's not because the entire endeavor is crumbling around them. It's
people
just
leave their jobs all the time.
People leave their job. People get sacked a lot for, doing bad shit.
Like killing so many copies of Starfield and posting onto TikTok.
Yeah, that guy got sacked, 100%, right? There is a small possibility that that this is nothing to do with the game doing badly. They just did something wrong against company code or whatever and got shown the door.
You're probably right.
But it's still not going to help the development of Skull and Bones.
It also doesn't reflect well on the game's development either, considering how cursed it seems to be. So it's kind of like just add another, add more to the fire.
Think about the statement here. 5 years ago, Elizabeth Pellin, who was the creative director, went to Ubisoft Singapore with a mission to reboot the creative direction of Skull and Bones, an Ubisoft spokesperson told Kotaku. She succeeded, and the Skull and Bones team is now fulfilling her vision to deliver a unique naval action RPG experience to our players. How can you succeed
that doesn't sound
as
like
the
a creative director? That sounds like, okay, you go in there and kick their fucking asses.
Well, creative director I've found is always a weird one, because sometimes you get director and then there's like creative director above them. It seems to vary from studio to studio, so it could be that she was creative director, but she was actually like the boss. But either way, like you'd think they would they've succeeded in getting their vision, and we're going to use AI to work out the rest based on the recordings we made of you. Like that's what that sounds like. It's either that or she's like
director is fucking ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's like, okay, can you just Elizabeth, can you just add some make a mood board via ChatGPT? Thank you. Oh, fantastic. We've now got your vision. We can make the game. Thank you for your service. Farewell, we'll remember you.
Manifest it into reality, Elizabeth.
That does make me think differently. I don't think they were the creative director. I think they were the manager sent to kick people's asses to get this game put out the door. After hearing that statement, that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, it's Ubisoft. Who fucking knows? They talk out their ass, don't they? But that's going to be it for today's episode. So let's do some shout outs. Pulp.
Yes. Hello, President. I am Pulp Suicide or Pulp Fictionally. Sorry, don't say that. Pulp Fictionally. I know that was an accident. Pulp Fictionally. I am a former Instagram model turned variety streamer. I'm actually going to be playing some Starfield in a little bit until 6:30. So come find me there. All my social media is under Pulp Fictionally, except for Twitter or X, which is Plot Fictionally. Peachy.
Hi, my name is Peachy Pixelate. I do variety streaming and I fuck around with mics apparently. You can check out my Warhammer stuff over on Instagram and coming to YouTube. Oh yeah, I just put up a Lamenta, so if you like the Sad Boys, go check him out.
Fantastic.
Right.
And hello, I'm Brian the Pirate. I am known as Brian the Pirate everywhere on Twitter, Twitch, obviously, and Instagram and TikTok. I will be streaming some Path of Exile tomorrow. I'm making what I've called the Ice Shot Cock Ice Spear build. Cock means cast on crit. It's a very complex name.
That needs to be snappier, Brian, like slap chop.
I mean, well, I called my my character my tiny ice spear cock, which I thought was,
Okay.
was
Yeah, that's
out.
better. Go with
Yeah,
that.
I like that. So that's the build name now. But yes, I'll be playing that tomorrow around about 3 p.m. British summertime, assuming that the summertime doesn't kill me. I currently have an ice pack on my back to deal with the heat. But thank you, of course.
Flashes.
Thank you, of course, to my co-hosts here today. It has been a wonderful show. We will be back in 2 weeks, as usual. The last episode has hopefully rendered in HD by now, so that should be available on YouTube.
In HD!
In HD. So go subscribe to the YouTube if you haven't already. Go check out the episodes that you may have missed.
And the Twitter.
Check out the Twitter, and it's also available on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, I think Google, and about 20 other platforms. It's all automatically distributed.
Yeah, Morrison's frozen food section.
Yep, you can find it in the fridge.
Little.
But that's going to be it for us this evening. Thank you very much. Farewell. We'll remember you.
Bye.
Bye.
Where's my mouse gone? Oh, it's over here.